Listen, Xano was already powerful. We all knew you could literally make anything with Xano, but small improvements like these, especially with this release, um, there's no excuse. If you have a dream to build an app, you have to use Xano. That's how amazing they're building this platform up to. So, without further ado, let's jump into today's video. We will be talking about the new array operations that was added along with release 1.70. They have added a bunch of array operations. Actually, this update has a bunch of cool things, but in this video, we'll only discuss about the array operations. So the array operations that are added are array mapping, array partition, array group by, which is really cool. I'll show that. Array difference, array intersection, and array union. So earlier, if we had to do anything inside the array, either you had to use the lambda functions, which means you will need a paid plan, or you need to use a for each loop. So you all know what an array is, right? So let me show you an example. So here is a simple array: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Simple array, right? Now if you want to add something to this array, or if you want to modify something in this array, either you have to implement a lambda function, or you have to use a for each loop, which will go through each of these items and modify the content however you want. But with these newly added functions, especially the ones like mapping, grouping, and difference, you don't have to use these for loops. Xano will handle it by itself. So let me show you how each of these works. So let's start with array mapping, right? So here is a test array, right? So it's just simple: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Now what if I want to change all of this to dollar values, like $1, $2, $3, $4, $5? Earlier, what I had to do was I'll have to create a for each loop, and I have to take each individual element and add a dollar sign and output it as a new array. But with mapping function, check this out. Here's how it works. So let me disable the other example. With mapping function, what happens is, so this is the array. I call it numbers array. I added the numbers in it, and you just have to click on add function and just look for array map. I have to put in a colon, I guess. Map. Map. I'll just search for map then. Yeah, there we go. Should have done that. So just search for map and you will find array mapping function. Just add it, and this is how it's going to look like, right? So it'll be the first thing you have to give is the variable, the array which you want to modify. In my case, that is numbers array, right? We have it already added here. So I just added it. Sorry about the cars passing by. Okay, so yeah, numbers array, we just added that. And next, we have to specify what type of array it is. Is it an array that just contains values like 1 2 3 4 5, or is it an array that contains objects? Like sometimes, some arrays will look like this. Let me show an example. Right? So this is a array, but inside the array, it contains, the array contains objects, right? So you have to specify what type of array it is. So here you have to specify it's an array of values, because we are dealing with the first array: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. And the next one, this is where the magic happens. Here you have to specify what type of mapping should be done, or what type of modification should be done. So if you want to add a dollar sign before each of these numbers, all you have to do is put in the dollar value and concat with this. So dollar this, that will be the variable which we can use to pick that one value inside this array, right? So think of it like a for loop, but you don't really have to build a loop. Now if I run it, there you go. So we have an array that says $1, $2, $3. So remember, the original array was 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. We just added a mapping function that will map and add a dollar value along with this. Now, what if I want to do a multiplication? So adding a dollar is simple, right? But what if I want to show values that are multiplied by 5? So in that case, instead of this, I will just let me remove the dollar sign, and I'm going to make use of that variable called this, right? And then I'll add an option to multiply by, let's double it, right? So I'm gonna double everything, right? I'm gonna click on save. Now if I run it, what's gonna show up? Take a guess. The array basically doubled. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 is now 2 4 6 8 10 12 14, right? So earlier again you had to do this using a for loop, but now you could do this just by using this one line, that is array mapping. I guess they are running a for loop in the background, but it just saves time and it looks cleaner as well with our new addition. Okay, now the second type of mapping is called an object mapping, right? So let me show you an object array now. So here is an object array. Let's say this is an array that handles name and account balance of few people, maybe in a SaaS product or whatever, an internal wallet or whatever. Now, again, here, instead of the array containing individual values, you have individual objects inside this array. That also means you have to implement this mapping function in a slightly different way. Let me show you. So earlier, remember, we selected this option here, array of values. But when it comes to an object array, you have to choose the second option, array of objects. Now, when you choose array of objects, if you use this value called this, like this variable this, $this, it will represent the entire item. So it will represent the entire object. So instead of just using this, you have to map it to the right key. Let me explain it a little bit more. I might have complicated it a bit. So here is the initial array, object array. We have 1 2 3 4 5 different objects. There's a name and an account balance, right? Now, what if I want to add a dollar sign to the account balance of each of these? The way I do that would be to add an array map. This time I will select array of objects and I will select the right variable that contains that object array. And here you have to map each of these things individually. So for name, what would be the name? So this dot name would be the name. Account balance would be dollar concatenated with this dot account balance. Why? Because the original array, sorry about that. Okay, so the original array had account balance under this key, account balance. So we have to map that key right here in the mapping function. So main account balance like this, and it will be outputted as output. Now, if I run this, here you can see the name, it's unchanged, it's as it is. Account balance will have a dollar sign, right? Now, if I want to double that, obviously, just like last time, I could add a multiply function and maybe do a 2. So the possibilities are endless. You can run this. And yeah, so this time the account balance is double, right? So that is how mapping function works. Now let's look at the second function. So the second function is the array partition function. This also is very helpful. If you want to split an array depending on a condition, that's when you would use this, right? Very simple and easy to do. So let me show you an example here. I have a variable that contains a simple array, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? Simple set of numbers. Now, what if I want to split the array into two, where I want to have the first array elements less than 5 and the second array would be obviously the opposite, that would be greater than 5. So all you need to do is Earlier you had to use a for loop for this. Now you just add partition operation, right? Array partition, and here select the variable. Then you have to give an expression to differentiate between the first part and second part. So here I'm gonna say this greater than 5, right? So that means this element, if it's greater than 5, it will go into the true section or true array. If it's false, it will go to the false array. So let's save it and run it, right? So here you can see anything above 5 is coming under true, anything under false is coming under false. Now the same thing can be applied for a object array as well. For example, remember in the last example I showed you, we were talking about balances, right? So here we have an array with balances like this. Now instead of doing any concatenation, let's do a partition, and this time I want to see anybody who has balance above 1500 in one array and anybody who has balance below 1500 in another array. Let's make it 3000. All right, so I'm going to give the object array as the input, and expression, instead of using just this time I have to map the right key, so right element. So in my array I have something called account balance, right? Account balance. So we have to do this only because this is an array that contains objects, right? So account balance greater than or equal to, let's do 5000. All right, 5000. Okay, now I'm going to click on apply. Let's call it output, and I'm going to run this. So now here nobody has account balance greater than 5. Okay, sorry, I guess I'll use 2500 as an example. That's an oopsie from my side. Okay, so 2500. Now here you can see anybody who ends up in true means they have an account balance greater than 2500. Anybody who ends up in false have an account balance under 2500. All right, so that's how you can use partition. Okay, so the next addition Xano has is group by. Okay, so group by is pretty interesting. It helps you group certain elements depending on certain keys inside an object. I know it sounds complicated, but it's very simple. Let me show you using an example here, right? So this is a group by function. I have a sample variable here, and inside this variable, it's an array. There are objects, and this object has a driver name and the color of the car they are driving. So driver name Alice, car color red. Then Bob has a blue car, Charlie has a green car, Dylan has an yellow car. Different people have different color cars, right? Now what if I want to group these by car colors? What I can do is I would go to add function and look for group by. So array group by, I will add that. Under collection, I will add the array, cars array, and instead of just calling this, what I'm going to do is I need to map it to car color, because I want to see what are the available colors. I also want to see what are the drivers who falls under, who are in that group, right? So this dot car color, let me enable that, and I want to call it cars array itself, so I don't have to change the output. So now when I run it, I can see red 5, blue 5, green 5, and yellow 5. Now I can easily open blue and I can see every object inside that blue array will have car color as blue. So that's how group by works. Okay, so the next ones are array difference, array intersection, and array union. It's very simple and easy to explain, so I will do all three in one go. All right, so let me show you two different arrays, right? So this is the first array. It's an array of names. Donald Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. That's the first array. Contains 3 names, right? Donald Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. Now, the second set of names, that's the second array. It contains Putin, Xi Jinping of China, and Modi of India, right? So, 3 names in array number 2 as well. Now, if you follow geopolitics, you know what I'm trying to do here. But let's jump back into Xano examples and show you how you can find the difference between these 2 arrays. So, difference, very simple. It will take the first array and remove anything that is in the second array. So, the first array is Donald Trump, Putin, and Zelensky. Second array is Putin, Xi, and Modi. So, when I apply a difference, if anything here is present in the first array, it should disappear. So, let's run it and see what would be the output. And Donald Trump and Zelensky. Putin was removed. Why? Because it is in the second array. So, that's how difference work. Now, let's see how intersection works. Intersection basically means find the guys who are in both spheres, like both arrays. So here you can see Donald Trump, Putin, Zelensky, and Putin is sneaking in here as well. Putin, Xi, and Modi. So if I run an intersection, I should see Putin's name because he is in both these arrays, right? Now, if I run it, here you can see Putin. Now, the last one, which is my favorite union of all of these people. If I run it, it just combines 2 arrays and builds a single array. Donald Trump, Putin, Zelensky, Xi, Modi, everybody's here. World peace. So that is it for the new array operations of Xano. Hope you enjoyed it. So let me know if you need any new videos related to any of these releases. I'd be happy to do that. Until then, this is Abby and I will speak to you in a different video.